Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Undiluted Word. Today, the voice you're hearing first might be slightly different than the one you're used to, and it's because today we're interviewing the interviewer. So I'm Fanasha. You might have heard me in previous episodes, but today our journey in the Master of Faith is Dara.
Hello.
Hello. Firstly, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to interview you. And how are you doing?
Thank you. I'm all right. I'm fine. I've just come off a set of night shifts, so a bit tired, but ready to speak with you.
Okay, right. We'll dive straight in. So icebreaker. Which Master of Faith would you go to dinner with?
Okay, so I absolutely love Noah. I think his example of faith, how he demonstrated faith, is just so amazing because in a society where you don't know, like where all you've ever known is no rain, for someone to tell you down there's gonna be rain, that's like really far-fetched. And I'd be like, can you be for real? Like, what's that all about? And so for him to have faith and move in faith by making this whole arc, I'm like, imagine if he'd never even known what an arc is beforehand, because like they've never needed it, but he was still able to step out in faith, what he needed to do. And if he never did that act of faith, then he wouldn't have been saved, and his family and all of that. So I would love to have dinner with him and just like get some more gems and find out more about his emotions during that time. That would be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Wait, I'm just flabbergasted because I didn't know that there was no rain in Noah's time. Was that the first rain?
Yeah, I feel like that was at the first. Yeah,
the earth had never been flooded.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why people were like, nah, what do you mean? Like, there's no, like, are you dumb? Like, yeah. So literally. I think, imagine everyone around you being like, you're being stupid.
Psychosis, sir. It's psychosis. You need to be admitted.
Exactly.
That is, yeah. I don't know, that's crazy. Honestly, my mind is blown. Nobody can see my facial expressions, but my mind is blown. Lovely. Okay, so this is just going to be about you telling me about your faith journey. The people are intrigued. So, in your own words, could you give me a brief summary of your experience of faith?
A brief summary. I'll try. So, I think in terms of like my faith, I think it's something that's been built up over time. And I've had just different little building blocks, would you say, that have made my whole experience what it is and made me the type of person I am today. And I think without all those experiences, my life would be a lot different. So yeah, I think I've appreciated the experiences that I've had. I'd say the first ever time I understood maybe what faith was at a young age was when I had this incident back home in Nigeria, and my bike was stolen. I was probably around 6 years old. And there was an armed robbery, but we went at home and my bike was stolen amongst the other stuff that were taken. And as a kid back then, my bike was all I cared about. It was a new one, those ones where you're learning how to like ride the bike. And so at that stage, young Dara was like, do you know what? I've heard about this God that apparently answers prayers and he does this and that. I need help now and I want my bike back. And so I prayed a prayer, which people might say was good or bad, but it was a prayer. That's all that matters. And I prayed that the person will not have peace until they return my bicycle. And that was my prayer, a really bold prayer, I'd say. And I prayed it. And in within 2 or 3 days, lo and behold, the bike was returned. And that's crazy because if something like that happened normally, you just have to forget it. Like, that's gone. Like, who's going to bring back something they've stolen? They're probably going to be able to sell that and get a lot of money from it. And if they're serious about getting rid of it, they would have sold it a long time. So for my bike to be returned back in the same condition after my prayers, that's when I sort of realized, you know what, there is someone up there that my parents have been talking to me about, and he seems to care about the things that I care about. So from then I've sort of known that it's important to sort of have faith in the prayers that you pray, and knowing that there is someone out there that is able to sort of help you out in time of need. Yeah, so that was like my first experience of
a miracle.
Yes, exactly.
But also, you were like putting witchcraft spells on people to get your back cushioned.
No, but like praying for peace is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. No, you've got to ask for peace from that passes all understanding. That person certainly didn't have it anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. But they had to return it. But yeah. My God is bigger, man. He really is.
He is.
So yeah, I think that's like one of my early experiences of like a faith building experience. And then I think, as most people would have, they would have this period of time in university as well. Even before university, actually, I'm not sure if I mentioned like ever, when I injured my leg. When I first came to this country, everything will happen when I come to this country, man. Yeah, when I first came to this country, this miserable island, I was in a swing, had a little accident. It wasn't really a big accident, but what happened was I wasn't able to walk after that little scenario. I went in a slide and just wasn't able to walk after that. We went straight to the hospital and they told my mum that I'll never be able to walk again. And thinking about that now, I'm just like, whoa, your face. Thinking about that now, I'm just like, that was so mean. Like, why would you say such a thing to someone? Like, hey, obviously I work in the medical profession, but there's so many ways in which the words that you utter in people's lives can really affect them. And it really, like, it's so important how you portray this information. So yeah, they were like to my mom, yeah, she'll never be able to walk again. That's it. They gave me some crutches and sort of left. I don't know what my diagnosis was at that time. So it's very strange. And I was probably around 8 as well at this time. But one day, miraculously again, I asked God, can you please help me just get to this other side of the room to get my crutches? And there was no one around me to sort of help me. So I kind of had to do it by myself. And so I kind of got up and started like limping at first. Then I let my foot down and I was walking again. I was like, whoa. I was like, wow, I'm walking. Do I need the crutches anymore? Type of thing. And for someone that had been told that I'll never be able to walk again, that was like, oh, okay, God, like you just gotta switch things up like that. So yeah, I think that was definitely another incident where I saw, okay, God is really out here listening to prayers and really just there. So I guess when I went to university and there's a whole new experience now, different things happening, and we all know people that have gone to uni, there's always one thing or the other during the experience itself. And for me, my experience of university started before actually getting a space. I'm pretty sure I've said what I do, but for people who don't know what I do, I'm a doctor. I studied medicine at university. So to get into uni, everyone's like, oh, you need to have all these big grades, whatever, he's super intelligent. I'm not denying the fact that God has blessed me with at least some wisdom, but what God taught me through my sort of application process is that regardless of what your qualifications are, it's only if He decides to place you in a certain place that you'll be placed there. Because I'd come into this country as I wasn't born here. My university applications were all turned into being an international student, and they weren't going to give me the 2 offers that I got to study medicine were both international, and so it meant that I would have to pay 27k per year.
Oh my goodness!
Which would be going up every single year as well. So thanks be to God, I feel like my parents had insight into how to sort of go around it and speed up my application process to be classified as a home student. And when that was completed and we thought, yep, that's good, you should just give me my space as a home student now, they decided to withdraw the offers. So it's like, yay, I've got the offers now, I can go to med school, and it then being ripped away from you in a way. So at that point, I was like, look, all my grades are pointless then, because I've got the grades, I can get accepted in. I did have the acceptance, but because of other factors, that was taken away, and I had to wait a longer time again to then have the confirmation that, do you know what, you can now come back in. So so I think all of that showed me that God was really just working in my life, doing things in sort of not even in the behind the scenes, because he was doing it right in front of my eyes and just showing me that he was who he says he was and able to just come through when you needed him to come through. So I really appreciated that in terms of coming into uni. And so I guess when things started happening, like failing exams and having to resit them, as upsetting and annoying as it was, I still had that sense of reassurance. Is that even a word? Reassurance. Wow. Reassurance.
That's all.
Wow. Guys, I'm tired. I remember I told you I just come off night shift. That's why.
Don't forget.
Yeah, so you have that sort of reassurance that even if I don't know what's going on and why things are happening the way they are, there's this person who has been answering my prayers, and not just this person, this amazing God that has been answering my prayers and will continue to see me through, even when things are not making sense, and even when I'm frustrated and wondering why does this keep going on and happening. But all in that, I'd say he taught me so many different lessons that I wouldn't have learned if everything had been smooth sailing. I've seen this quote before. We both love quotes, but I can't remember how it, like the exact quoting of it, but it says something like, life has to have like the ups and downs, because if not, it's like a flat line. And obviously a flat line, if you're looking at all those medical type of stuff, flat line means you're dead and nothing's happening. So of course, life is going to have all these ups and downs, and that's what makes life life. Yeah, and as I said earlier, I feel like those experiences wouldn't have sort of made me the person I am today now, that things happen and it doesn't break me. It's sort of, I know that it's going to build me up to be better at the end of the day. Yeah, I feel like I'm just there.
No, it's good. I think you're right. Like, faith is seeing that things that are happening around you, things that are happening to you are not necessarily what you want, but having the belief that God is working it out for your good.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I can see that you have like the steadfast belief that that's the case in spite of everything that's happened to you. Because, like, I don't know if you want to talk more about like the experience you had at university. So you've put all this effort in, the Lord's provided you a space and giving you like reasonably priced university fees. And then you get there and you're like, yeah, I'm going. And then you come across like you have your first failure. How did that feel?
Yeah. First failures are not good at all. And I know we've spoken about it in a previous podcast episode. If you guys haven't listened, little plug, listen to our previous episode, and myself and Panache. She's a regular around here. If you're not, get to know. So yeah, in first year, that was when start off in uni, everything's great, like new experience, all this. I guess it came to like exam time, sit the exams, everything's gonna be fine. I thought everything was gonna be fine because I thought I'd worked hard, to be honest. All my pretty posters and all, I thought, yeah, this is great. So when I got my results,
it's the pretty posters because I can see.
I was shocked. I was so shocked. I was like, oh, damn, like that? And I was like, God, but I've been praying to you. And I thought we were guys. Like, we were really cool. We were tight. So what's all of this? Why are you going to embarrass me like this now? And there's so much embarrassment that comes with like failing exams. People don't really talk about it enough. You feel, and there's so much it does to you psychologically as well. Like so much. I could really talk forever about that. But we could talk about that another time episode anyway. But like what'd you say?
It like wrecks your confidence.
Yeah, definitely.
In yourself and your ability.
And you don't even have enough time to like mourn that, because you need to do the reset. Like, you can't just give up there. You have to get back up. And I think when you have those instances where you fail, it's so easy to be like, oh my gosh, like, what's happening? God, you've annoyed me. Why have you let this happen to me? And I could have decided to delve into this deep pit of like, in my sorrows, in my like, oh my God, woe is me, all of that. But I don't have enough time to do that because the reset's around the corner, and I didn't have time to sulk as much as you say you want to sulk. And it was like, okay, God, it's me and you. You brought me here. I said, you brought me here and I'm now paying 9K instead of 27K. So you're going to have to help me through this. And as difficult as it was, I feel like support from family and friends was actually the best thing ever, because I was able to, he just led me to people who would be able to be a blessing onto me. And I remember I sat down on the bus one time, really feeling like, oh, damn, I think it was early, before I'd even found out I failed my exam. I sat down on the bus and I sat down next to a girl in the year above. Her name is Taiwo. Shout out to Taiwo. I sat next to her, we're just talking, whatever. I didn't think anything of it. But the bond that I was able to form with her on that one bus journey meant that when I did find out that I'd failed my exams, and I knew I had to reach out to people to help me. And it's hard going to like maybe your friends because of this shame that you sort of feel. It was kind of really easy for me to go to her, and she was able to help me and give me like so much like information that I didn't even have going into the first exam. So now I'm thinking, how did I even expect to pass in the first instance if I didn't have all this extra knowledge that someone else had? So I think that was a blessing and continues to be a blessing in my life. And so that was great. And I think what was important was that I kept moving forward, and I didn't just let that one instance like just take me to a place where I won't be able to sort of recover from. So I remember even going to that same summer, I think it was like 3 or 4 months, that first summer when it first happened, found out halfway through, still enjoyed myself, went to Cornwall, had my birthday, enjoyed life, and then carry on again. And sometimes you don't know all that. And that just explains that you never really know the dramatic stuff people are going through in their life, but they're like battling with stuff behind the scenes, but still putting up like a brave face. And I think that's exactly what was happening. But God just kept me going through that time, I'd say. And then when the results came back, I was so happy. I was like, yes, you did it. I knew you would, type of thing. And then it happened again in my third year. And that was really upsetting, actually. I think it's like once is enough, and then twice I'm just like, what, like, why?
What's the reason? I learned my lesson.
Literally, I'm like, I learned my lesson. Why are we going through this again? And that one was, that was a mental, like, because you had to build up this, okay, I'm good. I am intelligent. I can do this. Then it happens again. And you now have people talking, saying, oh, like, if like God really cared about you, this wouldn't be happening. Are you really praying? Are you doing this? And it's hard as well, because in my mind, I'm like, it's because I love God and I trust God so much that he will allow things to happen that I don't necessarily love or want to happen to me, but they are still going to happen. And I remember that's when I wrote a blog post with regards to From a Place of Victory. I think that's what it was called. And I used that as a faith building type of exercise for myself, in which the day after I got my results, I started writing this blog post being like, do you know what? I've got this news at the moment, but where I am now, I'm fighting from a place of victory, knowing that I've already had the victory when it will eventually come. I'm speaking like really lots of positive things into my life, being like, look, come next year in September, I'm going to be walking those streets as a 4th year medical student. I'm going to be like, everything's going to be fine at the end of the day. And I was just speaking life into the whole situation and sort of seeing myself where God hopefully wanted me to be, and sort of this partnership with God, reading loads of devotionals and encouraging words as well. And eventually I got my good news that was eventually like brought to me about passing. And that was good. I think that was a very good experience for me, because I think it's so hard to see when you've been knocked down. It's really hard to see that things could get better. So I think that was really good, because at the end of the day, faith is what you can't see. And like believing that, you know what, I am going to get there, and because of God. So yeah, I think that was very, very good exercise for me. And then again, we moved on. I think the final year one was just like, I was like, God.
That was even hard for me. I remember I was in town like, oh no.
No, it was funny. There was a time when I was just like, okay, first year, that's an odd number, it happened. Third year, that's an odd number, it happened. And then I was like, 5th year, I was like, God, just check it up a bit, innit? Don't bother about that.
Yeah.
I even did the thing. I even did my master's in between 4th and 5th year. So I'm like, look, I even passed the master's. So we've kind of already, like, technically this is my 6th year of study.
Yeah.
But God's just like, I do what I do. And I was just like, why?
Yeah,
But it's so easy to get bogged down in the why.
it
So,
is.
so easy. If you allow yourself to, and the devil wants you to get stuck in the why, actually.
Mm.
Because then it stops you from moving forward in faith, which you have to do. But by then, I've already learned, good. I learned the lessons. I remember we had this discussion. We were just like, but God, I don't want to be a strong soldier anymore. I'm tired.
No, I'm tired.
I'm tired. But yeah, I feel like that. I like the fun. Look at me saying I liked it.
I enjoyed it. It was great.
I mean, I didn't know whether or not I was going to start as a doctor in August, but sure, I'm going to still apply for what's it called? I was accommodation, apply for jobs, ask someone to swap their rotations with me. I was doing so much. Yeah, I didn't have the confirmation physically from like world standards, but I knew that God was eventually going to put me there where I needed to be. And if I was partnering with him, making this sort of like partnership, I had to also move forward in faith, which kind of reminds me of Noah, because if he was going to, like him partnering with God meant that, okay, he believes what God is saying. He trusts that there is going to be this flood. So he's going to start making and building the ark. If he never built the ark, when the flood came, it would be as though he didn't have faith anyway, because if you knew the ark was going to, if you knew it was going to flood, then you would have needed to have the ark ready. So that really just shows me like faith really, you need action in faith. Like you can't just say, oh yeah, I have faith. Oh yes, I believe. No, you have to, because the devil believes or knows that, okay, there's a God. He knows that there's a God, but there's that difference in terms of you acting in faith now and actually moving forward in faith and like making room for what you're expecting. Yes, I think that's like, that's why I think it was like my favorite experience in terms of having faith. Yeah. And now I'm in Leicester, living my best life. Yeah.
It sounds like you were saying like you know about the goodness of God, and what he's done for you, like you've got clear documented evidence, and even if you didn't, you still believe. And so you always make room with expectation that he's going to deliver on his promises.
Yeah.
And that is, I think perhaps that's kind of the step that some of us miss. I would say that's the step I miss, because intellectually, I'm there. I read, I'm like, but I'm the logistics. I'm like, I just don't. And so we don't make room for those miracles, and we still crying, Lord, Lord, please, just give me a in your face, big, bold faced miracle.
Yeah,
and we're not giving him the space to do it.
Yeah.
So I commend you for that.
Thank God.
Okay, so how do you feel that your faith has transformed and developed over the years? Like from that girl cursing people for taking her bike to to a woman who's trying to kind of guide and direct the direction of her life. Like, what's the difference?
I think the difference is that there's that as you sort of alluded, I've now got this I've got like this catalogue of all the things that he's done. Like he's never failed me. And there's a song. I love gospel music. Like, let's just take a time out.
Let's just take a moment for gospel.
I'm not gonna sing.
We won't sing, but we'll just remind you to all go listen to your gospel playlist.
Gospel, yes. I'm even gonna start adding some of the songs onto there, because there's this song by Todd Galbraith. I'm gonna actually find the lyrics because it's amazing, and I think it just kind of talks about it. Yes. Oh, beautiful, beautiful song. All of your problems, all of your pain, all of your trouble, you can give it to Jesus. All of your burdens, all of your cares, even your struggles, you can give it to Jesus, because he won't fail, and he won't leave you, he won't fail. Then there's a part that goes, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it in my own life. He keeps every promise. I'll never be forsaken. And I think that is how like all the experiences has shaped like my faith and how it sort of transformed it over time. Like I've seen he's done it before. And that's why I can now take a leap of faith, because I am taking a leap of faith knowing that all he's done in the past is like, that's my safety net. So I know that when I do take that leap, I'm not going to just like, he's not going to just let me dash my foot and everything's good. Yeah, like he's not going to embarrass me. That's one thing. One person that will not embarrass me is God. He might, like real embarrassment. Like there's some things that we find shameful and he's just like, okay, like get over it.
Yeah.
But for him, he's like, no, I'm God. I'm going to let other people around you know that I this is who I am to you as well. And I think it's meant, in terms of transformation, it's meant that it's a lot easier for me to be a witness to others in terms of why I have the faith I have and why I am still happy and jolly when things even aren't looking good. Like I'm able to blow through what I'm going through. Yeah. And I find people along the way that also then need that same encouragement, that have been through the same experiences that I have, failing odd numbers of university. Odd number of university years. So yeah, I think that's how I'd say it's been transformed overall. And it's just helped me have that resilience now, even moving forward. I'm a young lady.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's like things in the future that I'll be looking forward to. And I just know that faith is the key ingredient that I need. Like I've gotten to a stage in life where it's cemented that, do you know what? You can't do anything apart. Like having faith is what you need to be able to get through life. Well, really. I think that's how it's been transformed. Is that good?
I think you're right that like you being open and being full of like authentic joy is a witness to other people who, you know, you don't have to look far to see that people are miserable. And you know, justifiably so. The world is terrible sometimes. But there's a quote that says God is most glorified in us when we're most satisfied in him. And you like having all of these, like you seeing him map your life out and outwardly witnessing about that satisfaction, that's like bringing glory to God for everybody around you. So in your journey of faith, have there been any specific Bible texts or passages that you've held on to? Any songs that just everything for you? I feel like if we said songs, you wouldn't stop.
Yeah, I feel like I won't stop with songs. Like I love songs. I really But yeah, he won't fail is a recent addition. Like I'm not even going through anything right now, but that's just like positive. You know, I'm not going through anything, but like that's just positive vibes for me anyway. Like it's really just beautiful. Bible verse, I love Ephesians 3 verse 20. God can do exceedingly abundantly all that we can think or ask or imagine. Like, I just love this verse because with my human imagination, I'm like, I even start to imagine what God can help me do. I'm like, oh yeah, God will help me pass the exam in the first go. That's like the best thing you could think of, right? But God is like, no, I'm going to help you pass this year, but when you pass it, you'll gain so much more even in the whole process. And it might mean you don't pass it at the first time, but when you do pass it, you're going to be a more rounded, better person, better clinician maybe than what you could have even imagined. And you learn so much more in the process. I feel like some of my summers, even like the summers that I did have to repeat exams, like they were still even the best summers I've ever had, even with that inside it. So it just shows that what I think is the way God can help me achieve something, like it's still so little to him. So you think of like the best thing God could ever do and like he will just double that. And I think that's just a beautiful promise that I've always held on to. And then promises, I think generally are amazing. And so one of the Bible verses, I think is Isaiah chapter 55:11, which talks about God's word, that when it goes out from him, it doesn't come back void. It doesn't come back without completing what it was sent out to do. So it's like, if God said, you're going to go to med school, you'll finish med school, meaning I will start and he will take me through every single year. So I knew that once the first hurdle came, oh gosh, like I could decide I'll fall flat on my face and that's it. Or remember that God has said you will go to med school and you'll come out as a doctor, and know that he'll still take me all the way to the end. So I think that's been very encouraging to know that all the promises God says, they're yes and amen, that they will definitely like come through and come true. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, my man,
Wow.
poet. I didn't know it, but she's a poet. Ooh. Yeah, I think God is in the business of working things out for our good. And that, I don't think that necessarily means making things easy for us. But I think like when I think about kind of like the people we are when we're younger and how he just allows things to happen, which sometimes feel absolutely terrible in the moment, but how that completely transforms you into like the responsible, cognizant adult that you are, with the faith that you have, with the impact on the family that you have. Like, I was thinking about how I was when I was younger, and I was just so, I don't know, I was a weird kid. I'm still weird, don't get me wrong. But I was definitely a weird child. And I like, my parents were like, I think my parents thought I was weird too. But the Lord has literally brought me a life that is exceedingly abundantly more than I even dared to imagine. Like friendships, like relationships, a career that, just things that you just wouldn't believe you were capable of achieving. And yes, they have their issues attached to them, but it's only because of him forging a path for me. And me somewhat sticking to that path that I have this, like, we have access to these wonderful lives. It's just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it's amazing, man. Without having faith, I don't know how I'd get through life, basically. Yeah.
Without having gospel music, I don't know how to get through life. I don't know.
It's like,
it's an expression of faith to, like, in a way that I just probably couldn't articulate myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there've been so many times where you can't articulate how you feel or what you're going through, but there's just some music that just lifts you to places where you have no, like, what you're going through doesn't show that you should be praising God, but you're praising him in advance. Like, how lit? Like, it's amazing, really.
So how do you feel your faith has impacted the people around you?
There's one of my close friends. She's also had experience in terms of her like university life and having to repeat exams. And I think being able to at least have gone ahead of her, quote unquote, makes it easier for me to relate to her, because I won't be able to relate to her and like give her encouragement that she would really take to heart if I hadn't necessarily been through it myself. And it just shows, I'm sure some other heroes of faith have said in early episodes that they believe that what they're going through isn't necessarily for them, but for the people around them. I think that was one way I could see that. I'd say it's also that joy that people see that's like, oh, what's that? They're kind of attracted to it. And it's almost like once they taste and see that, oh, something's good in her life, I want to see that for myself as well. So I have friends that are more, okay, so like, what do you do on Saturday when you go to church? Or like when, like, why are you so happy? And I just general principles in life that don't necessarily have to shout God, 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 God. But at the end of the day, he's still the foundation as to why I am the way I am. And I think that's just something that I've always seen in my life and how it's probably influenced others. And I mean, from a young, I said from a young age, when I was 7 and 8 or whatever, I was doing all of those. But the importance of then being able to encourage other people became quite a big thing to me. And so I guess that's where my ministry has stemmed from, in terms of encouraging others as well. So yeah, I think it's really played big impact overall.
Lovely. Okay, and now we just have a quick final question, a bit of food for thought. What is the difference between belief and faith?
Faith is not believing. They're different. And you asked me what's the difference, right?
What is the difference? Is there a difference?
There a difference. Yeah, I think
Maybe
that's
it's a trick question.
We sort of brought it up earlier when we're talking about demons believe in God as well, but they don't necessarily have trust or confidence in God. That mean, like faith, you need to have this. Faith means you trust someone, you have this full trust and confidence in someone.
Yeah.
Obviously God, without having any proof of it whatsoever. And I guess the things that we go through allow us to have more faith in that way. But it's so possible to believe in God or believe that God exists, but don't necessarily have trust in his ability to help you and take you through circumstances. So that I think then you would say there is definitely a difference between faith and believing, because I think it's easy to believe that, oh yeah, cool, I believe I can fly.
Yeah.
And then not necessarily actually
put that into action.
Yeah. So yeah, in that sense, simply, very different.
But closely linked.
Closely linked. I'd say they're closely linked. As that's why it's difficult to pull them apart from each other. But definitely having that trust in God is very important if we're gonna, like, this is a very important thing. And I guess that's built with ongoing relationship with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely jubbly. Right. So that's the end of my questioning from you today. I just want you to summarize what you want the people to know about faith.
My undiluted words. So
yes.
I could talk about faith all day, man. Really could. But I'd say my first point is weird because I feel like I'm going to go into separate little extra bits as well at the same time. But you guys are still listening, I hope. The first thing I'd say is God's certainly not dead. He's still here. He's alive. He's moving mountains and still doing the amazing things he did in the past with those heroes of faith that we read about in Hebrews 11. There's like, he's still doing things in our century, in our 21st century society. And all the people that have come before me and spoken about their sort of journeys are a testament to that. And because he is alive means that we can then approach him and trust him in this sort of faith journey together. So yeah, that's one key thing I'd say at first. And then my second point is with regards to the size of your faith. Throughout different times of life, I think the size of your faith will increase massively and sometimes shrink as well. We're told in Matthew that if you have faith as small as a mustard seed,
tiny.
You guys need to go to the store. I don't know where they sell it, but you go somewhere. B&Q, I don't know. Yeah. B&Q, get a mustard seed. I have one in my Bible because I got given at a conference one time. They are tiny. Mustard seed faith can move mountains, yeah? And whatever mountains that is in your life. And so it makes me think that even an ounce, like a little drop of doubt, how's that going to affect this mountain that you want to be moved? So like, it just tells me that if your faith can be as small as a mustard seed and that is able to do big things, then any little doubt that you also have can really be detrimental in the same vein, in the same way. So just make sure that your faith is more than your doubt. And even if you do have doubts, pray to God that God, I do believe, help my unbelief. And I think that's a prayer that's been said in the Bible. That's like, I do know and I believe that you can do this for me, but help me to come from belief to having full faith in you. Yeah. And then my third point is that we all need to faith it till we make it.
Yeah.
Because, like, we always hear fake it till you make it, fake it till you make it. And a lot of people could say that, oh yeah, she was just faking it. She hadn't really become a doctor yet, but she was still applying to get houses and looking for houses, blah, blah, blah. But I had to move forward in faith. And that is what I classify as faith in it till you make it. Because eventually the things that you're hoping for will eventually come to fruition. You see it in front of you. And it's not then that you start preparing. You need to already sort of get ready for what you're expecting God to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my 3 points. Faith it till you make it. Have a small mustard seed faith that is greater than doubt, and remember that God is alive. Yes.
He is. He is. Yeah. That was really, really, really lovely. That faith it till you make it is 100% it.
Yeah.
Because I think like externally, there's so much like doubt and cynicism and hateration. I feel like Mary J. Blige.
We're making words up now, but it's cool.
That will have you thinking twice or 3 times about whether the things that God has promised are going to happen, but they are.
Yeah,
they are.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing me to interview you. Whoop, whoop.
Fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
By faith, I faithed it till I made it. And I urge you all to also faith it till you make it. There are times when what is around you doesn't look like what it should be, and you have your own thoughts and expectations of the future. But I urge you to faith it till you make it. And in a similar vein, by faith, Neitha put God first and he drew her to her husband. By faith, Terrell gave up control and allowed God to lead him from depression to being a vessel for Christ. By faith, Natasha received strength to carry on even whilst mourning the death of her mother because she surrendered her will to the one she trusts. By faith, Misha sought the Lord and found him through his commitment to reading the Holy Scripture. He was rewarded with a full understanding of God. By faith, Nom saw the light despite being in a world filled with darkness. By faith, Kevin walked boldly with God and was able to navigate life's decisions. By faith, Fien waited on God for the fruit of the womb and she was comforted by his presence. Her waiting season was not in vain and she eventually received her miracle in the form of a bouncing baby boy. And finally, your host, Dara. By faith, Dara believed that God will bless her abundantly above what she could think or ask or even imagine. And there we have it, the final episode of this series, the Undiluted Word podcast, the Hall of Faith. I have thoroughly enjoyed having the several guests that have been on here to just give us their testimonies and stories of how their life and their faith has been transformed, tried and tested. I have been so blessed by what they've had to share, and I hope that you have also been blessed. If you have missed an episode or two, make sure you go back and listen to it all, and even listen to it again and share with all your loved ones as well, to let others know that there is a God who is active and alive. He was very active in the pages of the book of the Bible, and he's also very much active in our lives today as well. My prayer is for you all to be blessed and to be a blessing unto others as well. Till you hear from me again, bye bye and stay blessed.